What's up, guys? I hope everybody is having an awesome day. I wanted to jump on here quick, and I just kind of wanted to talk a little bit about stuff because tomorrow is the inauguration, and you got them vetting the National Guard in D.C. right now, which I think is absolutely ridiculous. I think that it's very disgraceful that the very people who are going to be running this country are basically shitting on the men and women in the service by thinking that if they support Trump that they're going to do something during the inauguration, and it's so disgraceful, and it's sickening, and this is why I'll never ever. I will never support the Democratic Party. Maybe there would be a candidate like, say, Tulsi Gabbard that I would support, but I would never support the Democratic Party. I would never support the Democratic Party based on the party in the whole, right? So I have a friend of mine who lives in New York, and he said something on Facebook, because yesterday on Facebook, I just simply said, listen, everybody is saying, all these Democrats and far left liberals are saying that if you voted for Donald Trump, you're a racist, you're a Nazi, you're just a Confederate, you're a piece of shit, right? And so you're categorizing 74 million Americans or 80 million Americans or 100 million Americans, whatever, that supported Donald Trump, and you're saying just because they voted for that man that they are now a racist, that they are now a Nazi, okay? And what I said was, if you say that using that same logic, that everybody that voted for Joe Biden is a pedophile crook who likes to sniff little kids. That's what I said, because it's the same logic, right? It's the same thing. If you say because I supported Donald Trump, I'm a racist, then you're a pedophile because you supported Joe Biden. Okay, and I had some comments on there, but a friend of mine who lives in New York, he said it best, right? And I agree with him. He said, why are we still supporting both parties? Why is there only two parties? Why is it that when everybody goes to the voting booth, there's only Republican and Democrat, right? Sure, you have your independent, your libertarian, so on, but nobody votes for these people. And the reason why is because the main candidates in the Republican, the RNC and the DNC, right? They have all these super PACs, man. They get tons and tons of money donated to their campaigns so they can run commercials, so they can travel all over the United States doing speeches that basically mean nothing, so that when it comes down to voting, we vote for them, right? But he said it best. Fuck both parties. If we want real change in this country, we need to vote those parties out. And I agree. Why are we voting for these parties still? Why are we doing that? Why are we voting Democrat or Republican? Why are we voting for either one of them? If we really want change, screw that. Get rid of the Democrats and get rid of the Republicans. And we'll vote in people that are independent, that don't have a political view, right or left, that sit in the middle and say, listen, let's do whatever is the smartest idea. Let's do what's logical. Let's do what makes sense, right? So instead of just joining back into the Paris Accord, let's see if it's a good idea. Let's see if it's a bad idea, right? Making a mask mandate. Let's really talk to all the healthcare professionals. Let's not just take one group that's Democratic healthcare professionals and listen to them. Let's take both groups, weigh in, let's look at all the data, and let's make it an actual logical decision. A decision that should be made based on that. They say it's always based on science, but if you look at the science behind coronavirus, the science says, masks aren't that great. And the mask ain't, listen, when I paint my house, right? If I paint my house or I go paint a car and I got to wear a giant mask with these huge filters on it, but people say that a tiny little surgical mask is going to stop the coronavirus, you're insane. And you're kind of a dummy. So just putting that out there, kind of a dummy. But he said it best when he said, you got to vote these people out. And you do. And I agree. I agree with the friend of mine who lives in New York, right? And he's seeing it firsthand, being in New York, seeing all the laws that Cuomo's doing, fucking up the city, fucking up the state. He sees it, right? And it makes sense. It makes complete sense. You have to get rid of them, right? And you have to get rid of these two parties. You have to get rid of the Republican Party and get rid of the Democratic Party, because neither of them are serving the people at this point. Neither of them are serving the people at this point. So you got to vote independent, right? You got to get rid of those parties and vote independent, right? Get rid of them. You got to get that person who sits in the middle and is going to make a decision not based on their political group, right? The Democrats make decisions because all of the Democrats hound that person. You got to make this decision. So they do. And the Republicans make a decision because they're based on that party, that if they don't make a conservative decision, the whole Republican Party is going to be pissed. And if the Democrats don't make a liberal, progressive decision, then all of the Democrats are going to be mad at that person. Instead, you could have a government where the people, we the people, trust our government, and our government trusts us, right, in this country. And when people talk about the Nordic countries, right, like Sweden and Norway, right, the Nordic countries that have this this so-called socialist society, right, which is not so socialist as what people think it is, right? They have free markets. They believe in private property. They believe in private business ownership. That's not part of socialism, people. Okay, socialism, they don't believe in that private property. They don't believe in a free market. They don't believe in that, okay? But over in Sweden, they do. And the reason that Sweden does so well, the reason that Sweden is okay, is because the people that live in Sweden trust their government. When this whole coronavirus hit, the reason that Sweden didn't do a complete lockdown was because the government sat down. The elected officials sat down and said, it goes against our constitution here in Sweden if we make everybody wear a mask. If we tell people they can't open their business, it goes against the constitution that's written in that country, okay? The U.S. could never get there, right? Maybe in the way near future, you know, when I'm maybe dead and gone. But we don't trust our government because they don't have our best interest at hand, and they don't trust us. They don't trust us because they know that they're doing crooked shit, because they know that they're not doing what's in the best interest of the people. So they know we don't trust them. But let's look at a scenario. Imagine America, the USA, right? Everybody's united, right? No matter what color you are, no matter what race you are, no matter what religion you believe in, no matter what political side you sit on. Imagine if we were all united and we all agreed on that we trust the government. Imagine if we all agreed that we trust the government. Imagine if the people that lived in this country trusted the government and the government trusted the people. And our government, imagine if our government wasn't crooked. Imagine if they were doing what was in the best interest for the people that lived in the country, for the American people. No matter what race you are, for the American people. You live here, you're an American. Imagine that. I can't even imagine. I can't even imagine the amount of happiness that would come out of America if we trusted our government, right? They're there to help us. They're not there to tell us we can't go to work. They're not there to tell us we have to wear a mask. They're not there to say that if you don't get vaccinated, you can't go back to work at that privately owned business. They're not there for that. And that goes against the Constitution, right? To tell us that we can't go to work, that's not okay, right? That's not okay. It's not okay for them to come to my privately owned business and say, hey, you can't open. This is my business. It's private. I pay you taxes. I pay money. I pay all of my rent. I do what I need to do. I own this. This is mine. I've worked hard for it. You don't get to just come in here and tell me I have to shut it down. But that's what they did. And people just listened because otherwise you were going to go to jail. Okay? Or you were going to get fines. At what point, and I've said this in so many videos, and I'm going to keep on saying it, at what point are we as people going to wake up and say, we don't want this government anymore? We don't want them anymore, right? We want a new government. We want a new government that's going to care about us, that's going to do what's in the best interest of the people that live in the country in which they are the elected officials that are supposed to run it. What point? When are we going to wake up? When are we going to say, enough is enough? We want to trust our government. We don't want to wake up in the morning and think, oh God, what's the president going to do today? Whether it's Trump, Biden, whoever the hell it is, right? When are we going to wake up and be like, oh man, they just raised our taxes or they just did this? I don't want to do that. You know, like I don't want to pay. There's so many things, right? And people use the Sweden. They go, well, Sweden has healthcare and Sweden has college. I get it. Sweden has high taxes, very high taxes. But the people there are happy. And the main reason the people are happy is because their rights as citizens in Sweden are not being infringed. Okay? They're not being infringed. They trust their government. They trust their law enforcement. They trust their army of what they have, right? They trust them. And those people trust the people that live in Sweden. Okay? We as Americans have to wake up and we have to say it's time to vote out the parties in this country. It's time to get rid of Democrat and Republican. I voted for Donald Trump in 2020. I didn't vote in 2016 because I didn't feel that either candidates, whether it was Hillary Clinton or Donald Trump, was that great of a decision, right? I think that Donald Trump did a good job. I think that some of the policies and laws that he passed were very good, and I think it helped the American people, and I think it helped the economy. Was he a smooth talker? No. Was he great at uniting people? No, not necessarily. Is he a bad guy? I don't think so. I don't think he's a racist individual. I don't. I believe that he spent too much time on Twitter talking about the sports guys and this and that and hounding on LeBron James or whatever, when he should have spent more time uniting Americans, right? Uniting the people, letting people know that everything is going to be okay and we're going to make it through this, okay? Whether it be from coronavirus or whether it be from the police, they say, shooting and murdering African Americans in this country. Right, which everyone knows where I sit on that. I don't want to get into it. But he didn't do that good of a job doing that, right? And we needed somebody who could be a smooth talker. Look at Barack Obama, for instance. Barack Obama did a great job when he got on the microphone. He did a great job when he spoke. But he did not do a great job as president. He didn't. If you look at the things that Obama passed, the things that Obama did was not good for this country. Millions of people lost their healthcare provider when he passed Obamacare, universal healthcare, right? There was millions of people that lost. Millions of people died because they couldn't get the medical care that they needed because of Obamacare, right? We can't forget this, okay? We can't forget these things, okay? Obama was not a good president, but he was a good talker. He was a great talker. He talked. And I'll admit, I voted for Obama. I voted for Obama. I did. I think I voted for him in his second term when he was going up against Mitt Romney. And I regret the fact that I voted for him. I regret it because he didn't do a good job. He didn't do a good job in this country, but the way he talked, he was so smooth. He was very good at bringing people together. But as a president, that's not all we need. We need a president who can not only bring people together and be a smooth talker, but also be aggressive and let people know that he's not going to just get on his knees, that he's not just going to cower down and put his tail between his legs like a dog, right? That he's going to stand up and fight like a lion, that he's going to let people know that he's the dominant one and that this is his territory. But I agree with my friend. I agree with my friend who lives in New York, who said that we need to get rid of both parties and just vote independent or say libertarian, right? I'll use independent. And I agree with him. It's time to move these people that are in office out of office and let them know that they're not above the law. They're not above the American people who live in this country. They're not. Whether you're an Asian American, a Mexican American, an African American, a white American, it doesn't matter. Or European American, it doesn't matter. These politicians are not above the law, and we need to be voting in people. We need to be voting in people that are going to do what's in our best interest. And I know I keep on saying that, and I'm going to keep on saying it. I'm going to pound it into people's brains until people understand that that's what we need. This isn't about Trump. This isn't about Republicans. This isn't about Democrats. This isn't about Joe Biden. This is about the parties that the Democrats are far left, Republicans are far right. And they never get along. It's like children. They just always are fighting. They can never do anything. It took them, 8 months to pass $600 for the American people? But they spent millions and billions of dollars sending money overseas. It's not okay for us to give Asia $1.4 billion and to give Pakistan $25 million for gender studies. It's not okay for them to do that, but only give the American people $600 when people are hurting the most right now in America because of the coronavirus, because of the government imposing these crazy lockdowns. We have to open up our eyes, and we have to say it's time to get a new party into the White House, right? Into the House, into Senate, into the House of Representatives. We need a new party, right? And I'm not talking about saying Republicans need a new party. I'm saying Americans, right? Whether you are a Democrat or a Republican, we need a new party, okay? This two-party system is old. It's old. Okay, this whole two-party system is old, and it's just crooked and it's ridiculous. Okay, now there's a few people that are in, that are politicians that I do like. I like Senator Ted Cruz, right? I like Jim Jordan. I like Matt Gaetz. I like these individuals. Okay, I think that they make very good points, right? And I think they're very good talkers, and I think they would make great leaders in this country, right? I like Matt Gaetz, but we the people have to stand up, right? We have to stand up and be able to say, this isn't okay. And we're done. We're done voting. Imagine this. And then I can't remember if my friend who's in New York also said this, or if it was his friend that commented on his post. But he said, imagine if nobody voted. Imagine if nobody voted. Imagine if nobody went out and voted in any of their elections. Imagine that. Do you know the government would say, holy shit, we're screwed because the American people are not voting. Imagine if everyone stopped paying taxes. Imagine if everybody just said, you know what, we're not paying taxes anymore. We're not giving you any more money. What, are they going to come and arrest 330 million Americans? I don't think so. I don't think that's what they're going to do. They would have to figure it out, and they would have to do what's in our best interest. What I'm saying is, whoever watches this video, whether it's my subscribers, whether it's new people, and if you are coming to this channel and you are new, subscribe, like. If you don't like it, okay, fine, but subscribe anyway. But you have to listen. We need a new party. And I want to say, actually, not even that we need a new party. I don't want a new party. I have to rephrase that. I want our elections to be this guy versus this guy, this woman versus this guy, or this woman versus this woman. That's what I want. I don't want it to be, oh, the Democrat versus Republican. That's not what I want. I want it to be Bob versus Joe. Bob versus Joe. And you know what? They go out, they speak, they campaign like you normally would. And you vote for them based on not only who they are, but their values, what they say they're going to do for the American people, looking at their track record in the past. That's how we should be voting. We shouldn't be sitting back and voting for Donald Trump just because we're a Republican. We shouldn't be sitting back and voting for Joe Biden just because we're a Republican or a Democrat. We should be voting who we believe is going to be in the best interest of the people. We should be voting who we think is actually going to help the American people, not voting based on what party we represent, because that is a terrible decision for this country. And that's a terrible decision to make, is just to vote based on the party, right? That's horrible. It's really bad. And we've seen this in the past where you vote based on party and things get real bad. And I don't think things are going to be great with Joe Biden. I don't. I'll be honest. I don't. I don't think they're going to be great. Are they going to be terrible? I don't know. I believe deep down that we are headed for some very, very tough times in the future. But I do believe there's light at the end of the tunnel. And I think it's going to get better. But before it gets better, I believe it's going to get worse. And I do believe that the truth about Joe Biden and the Democrats' agenda, and maybe even the Republicans' agenda, just the government's agenda in general, is going to come out. And I think people will unite against that and say, we're not okay with what you guys are doing. And that's when we strike, people. That's when we, the people, strike and let them know that they work for us and that we need to get a whole new government in America.